All right, we're back for part two. I've got a fresh cup of coffee, anxious to turn this thing into a real program that we can run and start interacting with and playing with. Got some nice ideas in the meantime. So, just going to double check here and make sure my Twitter post went. Looks like it. And we'll get started. So, first thing I just wanted to show is I did do a little bit of research on the color codes, and I found what I wanted, which was um, so so 96 is bright cyan, and then 49M makes the makes the makes the makes the background color the default, so we don't get that weird weird like black background against the gray and PyCharm here. So let's just jump right in. So where we left off, we had built all these data structures for the different aspects of the game, specifically characters, spacecraft, resources, party, and the dungeon map. And I can anticipate a couple more of these being needed, but I don't think that we have to build them yet. Those will come into play more when we are actually building out the code that does the different random events. And yeah, so you don't need to worry about that. One thing I did want to add, though, is that I wanted to give characters an additional quality, which is a few things, actually, that I missed. So they need to have a name, obviously, and then they also need to have a family. So in my setting, the family is there's like this ancient cult that has this connections to these mysterious extra dimensional things, and where you come from in the family is important. So that'll just be another int to choose, and that will affect certain random things, maybe specifically like how I'm imagining it kind of affecting like how you can trade or sell artifacts that you gather. And maybe it's just another opportunity to could do like custom messages for, at different points depending on which, just flavor text basically based on what family you are. So let's start fleshing this out. I'm going to just tweak a couple things here. We're going to chop the line that we're going to print off at 40, so just cleaning a couple things up. And what we'll do, I want to get into the actual gameplay as quick as possible. So maybe we'll try main game loop with some menus, with some like a pre-created set of characters and chip. Oh, that was the other thing. The spacecraft also needs a name, so you can name, because you want to be able to name your ship. And So we'll try to get the main game loop going, and then because before anything else, I want to get to that. I want to see the random interesting events start happening and interacting with the game state. So here we go. Let's create some data structures. Let's see, what do we need to do? So get rid of this stuff. So what do we need to do? We need to create data structures for state, eventually screen, etc. But for now we can create things by hand. And then main game loop with venues. And let's just, for starters, just so we can start getting some flavor here, let's print out a little title. And actually, let's give this guy a style parameter so we can do stuff in different colors. Actually, let's see, print style is going to be string. And so okay, so we've got that, and let's initialize things. So what all do we need? We need our party, with characters and resources. Resources is easy, so this is just going to be filling in our starting quantities of our different resources. So let's just do 10 spacecraft parts. We'll do 100 provisions. Ammo, 120. Ethereal blades. 8 and artifacts. 5. So we'll start out maybe on the richer side. And for characters, this is kind of fun. So, and I'm picturing a party of 3 characters. So we need the character type. And actually, let's make these data structures. So we're gonna just do basically a bunch of enums, And I'm just going to roll my own enum because I don't feel like looking up how Python enums work right now, and I don't care. I don't care. Again, we're kind of looking ahead to implementing this someday in like on a retro computer system, and I don't want to convolute the data structures more than necessary. Basically, it's just an int that that maps to a string. There's going to be a list of string names that map to these integers somewhere, and it's basically going to be for just for flavor for now. So okay. Okay, so character type. So human equals 1, Nephilim equals 2, Nomad equals 3, then 4, and then we'll just do, for these things, we'll have a convention where we have a field called name where we map these types. And we'll use a dict here rather than a list because I want these things to be 1 indexed. That way we can kind of reuse these to generate menus. So, you know, menus you want labeled 1, 2, 3. And then another reason to have this be 1 indexed is that I think, does old microcomputer basics index starting with 1? I feel like it did. Microsoft Basic. Is basic 0 indexed? I don't even remember. Why did I get the idea that basic was 1 indexed? Okay, well, it doesn't matter too much. Shouldn't get hung up on this now anyway. So I think actually if we're going to use numbers as the keys, we've got to do this. So 1, actually, we'll do this. It's going to complain at me if I don't. Human Okay, so there's our character types, and let's just do families quick, as long as we're at it. Just put a couple in. let's see. I'm forgetting my names, my family names. Who's the other Alice family? Need to look it up. This branch, nice. So. Oh, and we can actually do this here. Can we do that? I think we can, right? Yeah, we're allowed to do that. I don't use classes a lot in Python like this. So you have to bear with me a little bit if I goof up. Actually, I'm just going to run this because I'm second guessing myself now. I'm not familiar sometimes with how static fields work in classes. And we're just going to comment these guys out for now. Yeah, okay, sweet. And nice, got our little title screen there. So yeah, might be a lot of making some of these data structures tonight, but if we can power through this, then we'll get to that. We'll get to that goal of having some neat emergent behavior. So these we just have to basically just flip around here inside this dictionary. Oh, you know what? Let me see if I can be fancy here. Okay, that's enough of that. Almost did what I want. I've been trying to increase my PyCharm chops a little bit lately. And you know, I could implement my own enum data structure to do this, but I don't feel like it. I want to keep things simple. We might add additional descriptions or different things in here. A lot of this kind of stuff in old-fashioned like microcomputer implementation would just be like two-dimensional arrays of integers or strings, you know, data statements that you'd read in. So I'm kind of trying to think of it in that sort of flat way here. But some of this stuff isn't necessary, but will be useful for writing code that's easier to read on this side. Okay, so let's build out the characters now. So we'll do and let's just shorten this guy up. Can't be typing all day long here. So this will guy be a human, and we'll call him David. Family equals family dot Arrington. And I was thinking about what good numbers for these would be for starters. Let's do 20, 10, knowledge as 10, 10. So humans will be kind of balanced. And then we'll do nomad. Let's see here. Just double checking names. And he'll also be Arrington. Now, being a nomad, he's a spirit, so he doesn't have any physical component to him at all. And his knowledge is going to be quite a bit higher. And his sanity is also going to be somewhat higher. And then we will do a Nephilim, which is a half nomad. So they are going to be... Oh, nice. We've got somebody watching in the chat. Hello. So we'll do a Nephilim and her Evie. Actually, one nice thing I could do here, I could think about having characters be male or female. That might not be really necessary, but I'm just going to make a note of it so I don't forget. Actually, you know, I'm not even going to bother with that because that's not going to apply to that's not going to apply to that's not going to apply to like nomads or ophanim or anything like that. So let's just stick with what we have for now. I got to not get ahead of myself here, but it's fun to start thinking about this. So, okay, we'll call her Evie. She'll be from Rousseau, and so she'll be basically, they'll be advantaged in both, but then maybe she'll be a little bit lower knowledge and much lower sanity. So these characters, like Nephilim, might be a little bit more corruptible. Okay, so we've got our party, and actually, just so I'm not gonna clutter up my main. I'm gonna move these guys out to the bottom here. So we'll just call this default party, or party default. And we also need our ship. Oh, and actually the party can hold that as well. Well, yeah, the party can hold that as well. The party's almost going to be the state, so I guess the party can have a spacecraft. Is a single spacecraft, and Yeah, so for people just tuning in, I'm building a text adventure kind of style game like Oregon Trail. I recently watched the gaming historian documentary on Oregon Trail, and I'd played that game a lot as a kid. And I'd also built these kind of text adventure style games when I was first learning how to program. And I thought it would be fun to build as a little side project, go through the process of building one of these games in Python, but then building it in such a way that it could potentially be ported back to a 8-bit microcomputer like a Commodore 64 ZX Spectrum or something. I've been looking for a project like that. So we're just building out the data structures, and I'm going to try to get the main game loop going here where we're basically taking a party of humans and spirits in a spacecraft into a sort of alien extra dimensional ruins beneath space, and different random events that and battles that use different resources will occur, and it should be kind of a fun and engaging interesting game, kind of like Oregon Trail is. I'm kind of curious for the people watching in the chat if you've played Oregon Trail and have experience with it. So when I was a little kid, we got our first computer when I was about 4 years old. It was a 486 machine, and we had a lot of games on there. It was actually pretty cool. And one that we played a lot, and I played a lot with friends and family, was the 1991 DOS version of Oregon Trail, which is actually really similar to the Apple II version. So, and let's see, we'll call this spacecraft branch. Let's just add some spacecraft types here. So kind of following like this. Spacecraft type. So we'll have a yacht, a Corvette. What would be another good spacecraft type? Like a freighter, or a mining craft. Nice. So these are just lists that we can use to generate the text menus. In a 8-bit microcomputer implementation, these wouldn't be dictionaries. They would just be lists. But dictionaries are going to make it a little bit easier to work with. For the purposes of Python. It's probably a better term too than Minecraft for a mining ship. We can figure that out later. Spacecraft types. But setting up these data structures first, it's going to make it easy to sort of fill in the blanks to build things. So we'll taking a yacht in, and let's see here. So shields max we'll put at 100, and we'll start out full shields. Okay, cool. So now we've basically have our initial game state. Now, the other thing that we need is we need our map that we're going to explore, and that is going to have basically it describes this system of caves or ruins in this extra dimension beneath space. And so we'll just generate something. Now, what we're eventually going to do is generate this randomly with a seed. So the idea will be you can type in like a phrase or something and it'll randomly generate a map that you can explore. And then you can come back to it. So let's see here. Oh my gosh, is my desktop not sharing properly? Ugh, I can't believe it. Here I'm coding and my desktop view in OBS is not updating. I'm sorry, guys. Is that really what's going on? That's too bad. Let me see if I can fix this. I'm glad I discovered this before we got too much farther in. That's really disappointing. Tell you what here, let me see if I can turn it off. If I turn it off and back on. Nope, that's not doing it. I'm gonna have to remove that device and add it back in. Yeah, okay, let's see here. How disappointing. Okay. Screen capture. Retina display. Okay. Wow. Okay. And sorry guys, just gotta move to top. All right. Let's see if that is working now. That's really odd that that happened. It's like sometimes OBS just will quit doing what I think it's doing. Okay. All right, so yeah, let's get back. Oh, nice. You're watching from Japan? Sweet. I've actually been to Japan. So me and my wife visited Japan back in 2018. We had a really lovely time there. We only spent a week. I'd love to visit again sometime, and I have 2 little kids now. I'd like to bring them too. It was a wonderful, wonderful place to visit. So okay, so all right, so let's build out the map. So our map, we call the data structure that represents this dungeon. Okay, yeah, it looks like everything, yeah, everything's working. Hey, Doug Wise, I thought maybe you were watching. Okay, yeah, so we have a list of chunks that are like different room types. So imagining like tunnels that you might have like a certain type of ruins, or different like a side room that could be explored, and then different types of events or encounters might be tied to different rooms with different probabilities. Same thing with landmarks. So again, I'm not exactly sure what the difference between rooms and landmarks is. Actually, landmarks might be more like what I just described, with like different, that would be sort of key to different encounters. Chunks might just be sort of flavorful, not really affect things too much. Maybe just more about like the size of the tunnel that you're exploring. But let's just, as long as we're building out these data structures, let's build out one data structure for the chunks and rooms as well. So let's type. Now this is going to get a little bit more complicated because I think instead of just names, I'm going to have data that is like a tuple of different things, because we might want descriptions, like short names, longer descriptions, things like that. But I'm going to keep it pretty simple here. So we'll have like a narrow tunnel, we'll have a expansive cavern, we'll have a something like running ether, and we'll just start with that for now, and we'll call this data. So near the tunnel, and we'll just do a tuples for the different types. So we'll do and description is like let's see. And we'll actually put this longer description in a list. Oh, so you're asking, is it not possible to see character modeling? So I'm not doing character modeling right now. This is going to be a text adventure game that is sort of menu driven in the style of games that were made in the late 70s and early 80s, like Oregon Trail. At some point, I might add some basic like pet ski or ASCII art to this game, but it isn't gonna feature that right now. We're kind of more focusing on building a system, a game that's built around like text menu input and random events. If you're interested in seeing me do 3D modeling with Python, you can check out some of my other videos. If this one is tagged that way, it's unintentional, but you can check out some of my other videos. But yeah, this isn't going to involve any character modeling. It's more of a, it's kind of like a retro text style game. So that's the narrow tunnel. We'll do the expansive cavern. Textile game. Yeah, so let me just close my door here. So back in the 70s and 80s, before the advent really of computer graphics or computer graphics being accessible uh, uh, on microcomputers, computer games were mainly made with text. So you had text adventures where you'd explore areas and battles and stuff, and it was all either menu or keyword driven. Um, and you'd read and interact with it almost like a book or a modern like interactive novel or visual novel, um, except without so much graphics, just text. So let's see here. And I used to make a lot of these games as a kid, so it was interesting seeing this Oregon Trail documentary and think about trying to make one again. Especially since I'm a lot better programmer now and I have better tools now than when I was a kid. So we'll see. Let's see. I see most game development today is done using Unreal Engine. Yeah, for professional games for sure. Hobbyists can use all kinds of things, and I use Python professionally in my real job, and I really like it as a programming language. So I'm interested in, as a hobbyist, making games using Python, and I'm also interested in retro computing. So this is kind of a game project that I might be able to, if I write it correctly, might be able to port to and rewrite and get running on a computer that was made in the 70s or 80s, and that's interesting to me. And just the last chunk type here is going to be running ether. So say so I'm writing these descriptions to fit into some kind of structure, like you are in or you have entered. So the deep where the structure is I'm sorry, I'm talking fast. Let's see. It's breaking down. End. Do I have any Japanese friends? Yeah, actually, so I have one coworker from my job who is Japanese moved to the U.S. to work for my company. Unfortunately, I left that company last year, so I haven't seen him for a while, but he lives in the area. Mainly we visited Japan just because me and my wife like Japanese culture, and my wife we wanted to do an overseas trip before we had our first child, and my wife really wanted to go to Japan, so she planned the trip, and we had a good time. We didn't know anyone there, and we were thinking about stopping at the headquarters of my company in that country, but we didn't. We just we just did our own thing, so that was fun. So we've got our chunks now with 3 types, and we need landmarks. So landmark type, and we'll just do 2 of these for now because I don't want to spend all night writing out these types. I want to actually see this get going. So we will do a laboratorium is 1, and then we'll do a virtual alter, and actually I've just got a couple ideas for other ones. I won't implement them right now. But we'll do, I'm just gonna list out, so a closed portal. So yeah, I've been a programmer almost my whole life. So my dad worked in civil engineering, and he wrote software for his work. So when I was a little kid, maybe about 7 or 8, I found these old books of my dad's that had games that were written. I showed one of these before. Hopefully I don't lose my desktop again, but this is a collection of basic games written in BASIC that were printouts from this old magazine called Creative Computing. And I got interested in programming because I liked playing games, and I wanted to understand how these worked. And my dad taught me about programming using the language that he used in his job, which was Quick Basic. And then I kind of got into modern languages a little bit in high school, and then I studied computer science in college, and then I've worked as a software engineer, software research engineer, data scientist for 12 years now. So I've been programmer for 25 years and a professional software engineer for about 12. And just recently I've gotten back into programming games as a hobby. So I've had different hobbies over the years, and it's kind of fun to come back to something that you did as a kid with experience and knowledge from doing it professionally. So the laboratorium here, and I need to double check the spelling of this, but this is it's like a site that nomads in the first world did research in, and we might be able to find different artifacts or different things. And actually, we'll bring this this in again. See how we did here. And we will definitely want to write more description here. And is going to be what state do I live in? I live in Wisconsin. I don't know if you are familiar with the US, but Wisconsin is in the Midwest, or sometimes people say that it's in a region called the Northwoods, and it's kind of in the middle of the US, so not close to the coasts, but close to the Great Lakes. So we don't live too far away. It's about a couple hours drive to Lake Superior, and another few hours drive to Lake Michigan from where I live. So it's a nice place with seasons, temperate climate most of the year. Gets kind of hot in the winter, or hot in the summer, cold in the winter, but otherwise a nice place to live in. What part of Japan are you in? I'm not super familiar with the geography of Japan, but we did visit a few different parts of the country while we were there. So, let's see here. Okay. So we've got a lot of pieces of things here now. Let's start putting them together. I'm just gonna check Twitter quick. Kind of surprised I didn't get more interaction on these posts on Twitter, but that's okay. It's kind of fun to see people coming in just from YouTube, sharing things. Oh, you're developing the FileMaker and publish databases on the server. Interesting. Okay. All right. So, let's build a dungeon now. So we're gonna have our list of chunks and our list of landmarks, and I think, yeah, so our chunks, we will do do a few narrow tunnels in a row, and then I'll just change a couple of these as we see fit. So it's a cavern, running ether, and yeah. Is Python, do you use Python for scraping in your work? I know it's a scripting language, so people can use it for a lot of different things. Okay, and then our landmarks are going to be a pair of the landmark type and where they are. So we'll do 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So we'll do one there, and we'll do one, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. 5. And then we'll do a ritual altar in the final cavern. So let's do a nice even number. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah. Actually, we'll do 12. Let's see here. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. All right, so we've got our default party, we've got resources, we've got a map. Let's get a main game loop going. We'll see if we can wrap this up in about another half hour, 45 minutes, because I want to kind of keep these brief and light and fun. And it's also late where I am, so it is almost midnight, and I should go to bed because I've got a big meeting. Yeah, you're right. So this is PyCharm, and I really like PyCharm a lot. I've used it for a long time. What I like about PyCharm is that it has a lot of commands, but you don't have to memorize everything. So if you forget what the key for a command is, you can just do Control-Shift-A, and then you can search for it. So like, even like a simple one, like let's say that these imports were collapsed, and I'm typing, I don't want to reach over to my mouse, but I don't remember what the keyboard shortcut for expanding. I can do Control-Shift-A and just search for expand and then hit enter. And also, I really like the way the search works. So you can hit double shift and you can search for anything. So you could search for expand, you can search for files. I have other files in my project. You can bring up files just by searching for them like that. And you can memorize a lot of keyboard shortcuts and stuff, but it always makes it easy to find things. Even if you don't have things memorized. Okay, so to do character creation screen menus and stuff. Nice. Doug Wise says most of my company's universe is in C#, though hilariously one piece of VB6, as I alluded to. We use Python for Android device testing. I'm the guy grimacing when you talk about library skill issues. I'm not sure what you mean by library skill issues, but yeah, that's interesting. I have not done a lot of C#. I did some C# in my first job for a couple years. We had an image processing software that was it was written in C++, but there was a C# wrapper around it. So it would like compile all the image processing stuff to a DLL, and then there was like this managed wrapper around it in C#. So that was my experience with C#. I have a lot more experience with Java and JVM languages, and I'm sure that people don't like that comparison being made, because I know C# people really like C#, but that was kind of my reference. I was pretty familiar with Java since that was the language that we learned in school, so that was my reference point when I was coming into C#. But Python is a great language for doing any kind of glue, so I'm assuming when you say Android device testing, you're writing some kinds of scripts or jobs in it, and that makes sense. So, what do we need here for the main game loop? Well, I guess one thing that we need is because we talked before about there's sort of two loops. So there's a inside the dungeon traveling loop, and there is a like outside the dungeon where you're selling artifacts, potentially talking to people, and can go back into the dungeon. So we want some kind of state here, and I don't know what to call it, like location maybe. So, and we'll just make a couple constants here. Let's see, location, outside, I'm not going to put this in a class because I can't be bothered. Oh, nice. Thanks for subscribing to my channel. And if you are interested in 3D modeling with Python, make sure to check out some of my other videos. This is a little bit different, a little different project, but I think it should be fun. And if it turns into something, I'll probably try to package it up in some kind of wrapper with more graphics. I've in my game that I'm developing, which uses Panda 3D, I do a lot of stuff with text to make things look interesting. So I might do something like that for this. If it turns into something that seems like it's fun to play, and I might want to distribute. So yeah, thanks for stopping. It was fun talking. Yeah, and I hope you have a good rest of your day. I don't know how to pronounce your name. I can't read Japanese, but yeah, thanks for coming for sure. Okay, so we'll start inside just for now. But we will we'll just do a true. Let's see, if location equals inside we will just do dungeon equals dungeon default, party equals party default. So dungeon party, and we'll just do a state continue equals 0. Actually, continue equals 1, state quit 0. So if state equals state quit, break, and then we'll exit. You could even print a snide message here like you have something like in, how do I want to say this? I want to say like in giving up, or in signing your request. Dishonor upon the house of, oops. What, did I lose my styles? Oh, I didn't. Okay. House of, and then we're kind of assuming that the first character in the party is the player character. So we'll say dishonor on the house of party dot characters 0 dot family, and we will actually to look this up. So family dot names of this. So we're going to see a lot of this kind of like indexing into these things here. Characters 0 characters 0 dot family. Okay, and okay, so now we have to define our main game loop for inside the dungeon. So that's going to be this run inside function. So run inside, and that's gonna take the, actually we'll do the party as the first argument. So party, then dungeon, and we'll just add this quick here. So party dungeon. Oh, and we actually want a state, some additional state here. So we'll do a state class. So this will include the remainder of the state, and we'll call this command and we'll call these things command. half the challenge in programming is naming things. And, okay. So I'm resisting the temptation to move these things into separate files, by the way. Okay, so we want, what do we need to track? Well, we need to track the current the dungeon's name, and this isn't going to matter right now. And then but this will be the name, basically what we can derive the seed for the current dungeon from, and then also the depth. So this is like how far in you are. So again, this is a Oregon Trail style game. There isn't really exploration so much as you're traveling kind of on a linear path where you have options along the way to stop and do certain things. So let's implement this here. So yeah, so here we want to initialize our state with the dungeon name. Just doesn't matter right now. This can be basically anything because it's going to use the it's going to use a hash of this to generate a seed for the random number generator to generate the dungeon. And so we'll just maybe give this a more sinister looking name, and the depth will start at 0. So and we'll just man, this really brings, I'm having fun doing this. This brings me back to being a kid and building these little games and kind of seeing the kind of seeing a little world come to life here. So we'll just do a little entry message here. Deep, and then we'll just give some flavor text about the ship. So party dot spacecraft dot name slips through and through closes. We'll say above you. Okay, and okay, so now we can do our main game loop here. This is exciting. So we'll do party, state, dungeon. Eventually we can add more stuff to the state, like a date might be interesting. I don't feel the need to do that right now because I'm not exactly sure. I don't have mechanics in mind that would depend on the date. But might be something to think about. And actually, let's just right away we'll return command continue. And okay, so actually, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to just quick I'm going to adopt a convention here of using dark cyan for normal text, and we'll use light cyan for titles. So now what was the word? I had a word for the process of entering the lower realms. Was it called transit? Yeah. So we can do this. Okay. And you know what? I am gonna add a date right away to the state, because I think that is kind of important, because you might have to stop to repair things, and there might be you might have a time limit on certain quests that you go on. So we'll just do that. We'll add a day. Okay. And so inside. State.day request. So let's say actually we can just do this, and we'll say exploring state.dungeon name. So this will kind of be our little status screen. So day, and depth is going to be in tens of kilometers, we'll say for now. So times 10 kilometers. And dark side hand. Print. Okay. Now, this is fun. Now we get to start doing some interactive stuff. So let's write up a little menu. This is so much fun. So and I'm just going to write this. We can abstract this out, but we're going to write this just like we would if this was basic. And so we'll do this, and later we can abstract it maybe, but so we'll say while choice is and choice is less than, I think we're gonna have like 4 choices here. So we're gonna print a little menu. So and let's just take a look at Oregon Trail, because I want to see what the status menu in that game looks like. I kind of forget. So this is kind of the equivalent of what we're building here. So we've got the date, weather, health, next landmark. We're not going to know this here, but like the total miles traveled, that's kind of like our depth. I think we want one to be continue, because that's going to be our kind of normal status. So let's see, disembark. Is disembark the word for get out of your ship? Disembark. Yeah, so disembark. And so actually we can also print the current. Yeah, we need to do this. So to do print chunk name. Chunk name description. So we'll save the description for looking around, like maybe in the status. Disembark, and then we'll have actually it's gonna be more choices, like let's see here, skills. So this will be different things that different party members can do. There's a lot of stuff we have to print here. So we also want to print statuses, and then something that I want to do eventually, I haven't exactly figured out how yet, is print some kind of like ASCII art view of the cavern that we're exploring. So I think we're not going to get there today, but that's something that I'll put some thought into, maybe even do a couple tests offline of, and then when we come back we'll add that in. So for now we'll just stick with this skills, and then will be abandon quest. And we'll call this quest day 5. Abandon quest. So if it's greater than or equal to 1, actually, we want this while choice is let me just do this. Well, true. Input. My nose is itchy tonight. Okay, so if choice is greater than or equal to 1 and choice is less than or equal to 5, break. Otherwise, we're going to print something like cprint and actually let's just do we'll make a C input function too that does the we can do that later. I don't think that's too big of a deal. Actually, we can add a little flavor here by giving this a color here. So we'll do like this dark red. Dark red is 31. Okay. And we can make this dark red as well. All right, so we've got a choice now, and we don't actually need to define choice there. Now we can handle the different choices. So if choice equals 1, we want to increment depth. Choice equals 5. We can return command quit. Else we'll just see print not implemented yet in red. And we should see things going here. So and then I think basically if we don't quit here, right, or like once we do these different things, then here is where different random events are going to happen. And it would be interesting to implement like one or two of these tonight. So let's see here. I think the status stuff is going to be maybe some of the less interesting stuff to implement. But yeah, but we could implement some different random events. Yeah, because this would be like random events inside the ship, because random events that happen outside the ship would only happen when disembarked. So like disembarking is going to trigger an event. Yeah, like an event that's related to the landmark that you're currently at. So okay, and let's see here. I want to safely parse this as an int. Int. And actually, I think I do want to see I do want to see input function here, because I don't want to be repeating my parsing stuff all over the place. Put prompt string. Equals F style. Oh, I know what I want. Yeah, so this should actually be type. Yeah. And then this can be any. But we'll assume we can parse it from a string. So style end, input, prompt, res equals input prompt, try, type any, res equals type res, accept, invalid input, and dark red, and actually we'll put this in a loop while true. Res okay. All right, so prompt, and this is going to be int. And where's my other input call? Okay, so yeah, we've got that. Now, yeah, so this is going to be random events that happen outside the ship. Now, the other thing that we have to check here is if the depth is if the state dot depth, let's see, equals the length of the dungeon, then that means we've got to the end. Then so this is actually going to be a win condition. We don't want to do any other random events. Let's continue and win. We can say command quit. So in the case of quitting or winning, we'll break. If we quit, then we print the dishonorable message. If we won, then we'll print an honorable mention. Let's see. You have fulfilled a request and brought honor to the house of this. And we're going to just pull this out here so it's cleaner. Name. To the house of family name. And eventually we'll like have a quest message that goes with like a certain type of quest, because that'll be another source of flavor for this. So I'll just leave a little to do and so also eventually we would handle like starting over again here. So like game, etc. But for now we'll just quit if we either quit or win. And okay, yeah, and we also want to actually Yeah, that's actually not quite right here. So I'm just gotta think about the order of things. Almost ready to run this. Okay, so basically here we want to quit right away if choice is 5. That's kind of the first thing. This equals 1. We're not going to do anything right now. And then we want to handle this. So then here would be where random events happen. And then if we survive the random event, etc. Maybe also to do here is like update etc. Like we'd update characters. That's like potentially fail. And then if state equals continue, so if not state, choice equals continue, then this is where we're going to increase the depth. Check for win condition. And also we want to do a pass here. And if the choice is 1 or three, or 4, then the state will increment the day. Now, I don't want to automatically continue after we disembark, because that could be, we might want to use use skills and stuff. I think we want to not, we only want to be able to disembark once at a certain depth. Because there's like, you're getting out and exploring, you find something, you interact with something, and then you go on. You know, there's no point in getting out and doing it again. So I think let's see if we can handle that as well here too. So going to add a flag here. So we'll do a bright black, which is, I'm going to call called dark gray. Actually, you know what? I'm not going to handle that right now. We want to see this. We want to see this run. And, oh, and then we also, yep. So update state of characters. So actually something that here would be like using provisions. If no provisions, deteriorate health. And then like we'll check for deaths and sanity. So this is kind of like the order of stuff here. And why don't we just do that? So like if we are actually, yeah, this is, if the day is advancing, that's when we want to do this. And actually what we can do is we don't have to do an if statement there. We want to just continue if it's a status 2 or 3, right? So if like we'll handle, yeah, so this would be like handling disembarking, and so we'll handle disembarking and status and skills here. So oh crap, what happened to my, I lost my party member stuff. There we go. Okay. Okay, so yeah. This one. So this would be handle disembarking or status. Disembarking or skills. So here, if we only did status, then we can just continue right away and not, we don't have to worry about handling other events, right? So if choice equals 2, actually here, to do view status and then continue. So then we're doing disembarking or skills. So that, so in all of, in this case, yeah, so then we're going to advance. So we'll do this, then we'll advance the day. If choice is 1, yeah, so basically regardless, here we advance the day. If we're continuing, then we advance in the ship, then we advance the depth. And we check for wind condition, and we continue. I think this looks just about right. And this is not actual continue, it's going to be return command continue. All right, and then I'm just gonna make a note here. So to do handle disembark being disabled. And that actually is going to be a flag in state, because this is not an actual loop here. Okay. Let's run this. And actually, one last thing before we run this. Let's add a random event that kills everybody. So, let's just check. Let's do a check here. So, we'll just do a simple thing. So for C in state dot characters, party dot characters. So there'll be other checks, but this will be the first one. So if the character type, and actually I don't like this, we're going to change this to TYP and spacecraft to TYP as well. Okay. So if c.type equals char-type dot human, or c.type equals char-type dot nomad, then if the character's physical health is less than or equal to 0, then they're dead. So we'll just do a running total of the dead characters. Total dead. It's kind of grim. Dead. Or actually, that's we can do this better. So so like all dead equals true. So if it's greater than or equal to, is it greater than 0, then all dead equals false. Else if it's one of the other types, then if the ethereal component is greater than 0, then all dead equals false. So at this point, then if and then we'll do a command lose here as well. So if all dead, then we'll print the entire party has perished. And we'll return a command lose. And up here, we'll add a losing state. So elif and equals command lose. Oops. You have failed. You failed your quest. And you have failed your quest, but your death your death has brought honor to the Okay. And what we're going to do is we are going to do just a quick random event. And we'll just do a 25% chance of everybody getting killed. So, if random.random is less than 0.25, and we can do some fun colors for this kind of thing eventually. And I think I want to do a C print here just so we got a little bit of room to work with. We can prettify all this up later. Let's see here. Need to think about tenses too. Oops, depths and engulfs. And I'm actually, just because I don't want to mess with this right now, we're going to disable that. Depths and engulfs. Spacecraft.name. And this will just see in characters. So this will just be a quick way to kill them. So this is a really cheap random event, but just something to keep things interesting. All right, let's just out of curiosity, let's see where we're at as far as number of lines. Nice, so about 500 lines so far. Not too bad. Not too shabby. And a lot of this is class definitions, stuff like that. So should we try to run this now and see what happens? If it works, I think we're gonna call it a night because we're about at 2 hours, but I'm excited to see it. We'll probably debug a little bit here. Whoops. Dungeon. Oh, nice. Forgot to put the trib on there. Okay, here we go. So with these words, we've opened a portal to the deep. And so we're exploring the cavern. Quest day 1, depth 0. If I do status, we should stay on. Oh, not implemented yet. Oh, interesting. Yet. Command continue. Well, that's interesting. So we got not implemented yet. That makes sense, but somehow we ended up returning command win. I was not expecting that. So if the state depth equals the length of dungeon chunks minus 1. Let's see if... Okay, we always get that. So somehow we're exhausting our depth here. let's just print out. One nice thing about cprint is we can easily debug print by just using normal printouts. So let's take a look here. Let's just see dungeon.chunks. Let's see what the length of this guy is. 13. That's funny. So how is my depth getting incremented that far? Choice equals 1, state.depth. Turn command continue. Oh, there we go. That's why. Derp. Okay. So I just had I had all of these commands declared with ones. Okay, so we can advance deeper into the space. Okay. The entire party has perished. Lose. And we've got a break here because this is let's see. Or actually no, we didn't return a command quit. Let's return command lose. And command lose is 3. This command So actually what we want to do is if command is not equal to command continue, then we want to break. Right? Okay, so nice. So we got killed right away that time. How far in can we make it before we get engulfed this time? Whew. We're flipping that. Oh, there we go. Nice. Just gonna add a little printout here. Okay. Cool. Well, this is almost working. I'm just going to quick do a couple things, and then we're going to finish. So I'm going to print the status of the current chunk. So in here. So we'll do surroundings. We're going to do this like Oregon Trail. Because why not? So dungeon chunks state.depth, and that is going to be the first and dark cyan. Let's see here. Maybe, like, what's a good word for, like, geography, but for the inside of a cave? we'll just stick with roundings. And chunks is not a list. Oh, it is a list of ints. So type equals this. And yeah, we'll do that. We'll do that just for now. And I'm just gonna add a little nice. This is these little things. It's just starting to have some flavor, which is fun. I'm going to add a little thing here. So this will be the title, and then we'll make a sep is just this times the length of title. Actually, we can put all of these together so we can see like this. That's somewhat clearer. Okay. All right. So here we go. So we're exploring. Maybe I like geography better. It's fun and fast to iterate on this. Okay, so we're exploring the dungeon. Day 1 at 0 kilometers depth, and geography. I think status now just doesn't do anything, not implemented yet. I could actually press a key there. And we continue. We'll go deeper until a fountain engulfs us. So, we're starting to see interesting random events happening. We're starting to get a little flavor for the world. And we've really got our main game loop sketched out. So made a little bit of a mess of the code with how some of the stuff is arranged, but in general it's all here. So yeah, I think we've got a good start. I think a couple more streams and we'll have, like, the next stream we can really focus on some of the different mechanics. We could knock out the status status right away, and we can see then we can kind of start implementing some of the different interesting random events and discovering resources, things like that. One more stream, we could implement the sort of hub or trading area and some of the mechanics as far as going in and out. And then I'm going to be thinking too about how we can do some kind of interesting ASCII art kind of representation of what's going on, just for a little bit of visibility. Just gonna fiddle with this a little bit just for fun. And then, yeah, then we'll be done. I don't like that. And I was just one other thing I was gonna grab for like not implemented yet. I was gonna do another C input that just says press any key, enter to continue. Whoops. C input with this. And type is an int. Yeah, I think we've got a good start. It's been a while since I've implemented a program like this that's all menu driven, a lot of loops, loops and error checking. Actually, we should see if that works. So if I do 0 invalid choice, do negative, or if I do something like this, invalid input. But if I continue, actually, yeah, we don't have to do this. We can do this once here, right? And then do this. Man, this is 7. Yep, so we want to continue. Expansive cavern, yeah, we can see our geography now, and the fountain engulfs us. Let's see if we can win. Oh, no. Tonight's not our night. So yeah, lots of things left to do, but it's a very doable little project, and I'm looking forward to continuing this and kind of thinking about how we can add some flavor to it. And I'm having fun thinking about my setting and how getting idea for mechanics of my worlds kind of given this little game. So yeah, we'll pick it up from here. Just trying to think if there's any, see if there's any cleanup I can do here just quick. So let's do any list tuple here. And I think that's it for imports. And we've got our little design document here. Could probably start checking some of this off. Let's see here. We've got to start. Actually, yeah. Let's go through, check this off just quick. So we don't have any of the map generated. We do have like a default map for testing that we started. We've got all of the resources started. We have this? Oh, resources, and money needs to be here if it isn't. Inside dungeon. So we don't have any of these messages yet. That I think is going to add a lot of interest when we start doing that, because then there's going to be like just opportunities for more random flavor to appear. Yeah, we don't have any outside dungeon stuff yet. We've got all of this started. Stats. That's just goes under resources. Okay, cool. So yeah, I think we're at a good spot here. Definitely a fun little project, and yeah. All right, well, we will pick this up again soon, and yeah, a couple more streams, I think we'll knock this out. And if anybody who's watched this has ideas about interesting random events or mechanics or different things like this for this game, you can comment on one of my tweets about this on Twitter, or you can leave a comment. I can't guarantee I'll integrate everything, because I am sort of, this is an outworking of a setting that I have specific ideas about, but I'd love to hear ideas, and if they're reasonable, we can certainly try to implement them. That would be a lot of fun. So yeah, thanks everybody who watched. We had a kind of a nice crew here today. It looks like I had 3 concurrent viewers for a lot of this stream, which is pretty cool for a stream that's this late at night. Yeah, hope you have a good rest of your day, what's left of it. I'm gonna go to sleep because I've got a meeting tomorrow first thing for work, but this is a fun little project, and thanks for hanging out with me. Yeah, have a good night.